Rafael turned the key in the lock with a soft click, his heart racing with the kind of excitement he had not felt in weeks. The business trip to Sao Paulo had dragged on longer than expected, but the contract was signed, the deal sealed, and now all he wanted was to see Clara's face light up when she realized he was home 2 days early. He pictured her in the nursery, folding tiny onesies, her hand resting on the swell of her 8-month belly, smiling that quiet, radiant smile that always made everything else disappear. He pushed the door open gently, careful not to let it creak, ready to call out her name in a playful whisper. But the sound that hit him first was not laughter or the soft hum of her voice. It was a scream, sharp and raw, slicing through the quiet house like a blade. His mother's voice, unmistakable, filled with fury. "You think I'm an idiot, Clara. You think I don't see exactly what you're doing." Rafael froze in the entryway, the suitcase slipping from his fingers and thudding to the floor. His pulse hammered in his ears. This was not the tone Helena used for casual disagreements. This was the tone she reserved for enemies, the one that left people shaken and small. He moved forward on instinct, steps long and silent, following the sound down the hallway toward the living room. From the upstairs landing, a door cracked open just enough for Marina to peer out. The maid's eyes were wide with terror, her hand clamped over her mouth as if holding back a cry. When she saw Rafael, she did not speak, only shook her head once, slowly, the gesture heavy with everything she could not say. He understood in an instant. This was not the first time. Marina had seen it before and done nothing, because what could she do against the mother of the man who paid her wages? He reached the threshold of the living room and the scene in front of him stole his breath. Clara sat on the edge of the sofa, hands clasped protectively over her rounded belly, her light maternity dress soaked dark across the front. Water dripped from the fabric onto the cushion. Her face was streaked with tears, eyes red and swollen, lips trembling. The worst part was the bruises forming on her wrists, clear imprints of fingers that had gripped too hard. And standing over her like a judge delivering sentence was Helena, tall and rigid, an empty glass still clutched in her manicured hand. The pearl necklace at her throat caught the afternoon light, but there was nothing elegant about the cruelty radiating from her. "You think you tricked my son with this pregnancy?" Helena's voice dripped acid. "You think you've secured your place in this family forever? A little public school teacher who barely knows which fork to use at dinner, who can hardly string a proper sentence together without sounding like she just stepped off the farm." "Mother." The word tore from Rafael's throat, low and thunderous. Both women turned. Helena startled, the glass slipping from her fingers and shattering on the hardwood floor in a spray of shards. For one fleeting second her composure cracked, eyes widening in shock before the mask snapped back into place. Clara let out a broken sob, hands flying to cover her face. Rafael's gaze locked on the wet dress, the red marks on Clara's wrists, the way her whole body shook like a leaf in a storm. "What is going on here?" he asked, voice measured but edged with something dangerous. "Why is my wife soaked? Why are there marks on her?" Helena's smile appeared instantly, too bright, too practiced. "Rafael, darling, what a wonderful surprise. It was just an accident. Clara got startled when I arrived and spilled water on herself. I was only trying to. Do not lie to me." His shout rattled the windows. "I saw the glass in your hand. I see. The bruises on her wrists. I heard every poisonous word you said." The smile vanished. Marina let out a small, trembling breath from the hallway, years of silent witnessing finally breaking free. Clara tried to stand, but the weight of her belly made her movements clumsy. Rafael crossed the room in 3 strides, steadying her with gentle hands. He felt her trembling violently beneath his touch. "How long?" he whispered, only for her. "How long has she been here?" 3 hours, Clara managed, voice cracked and thin. "Since you called to say you'd caught an earlier flight." 3 hours. 3 hours of his mother tormenting his pregnant wife while he was still on a plane, thinking everything was fine. Something inside Rafael snapped, not in rage that burned hot, but in a cold, lethal fury. "Marina," he called without looking away from Helena. "Come here, please." The maid descended the stairs slowly, stopping at the doorway. She glanced at Helena, who shot her a look that could kill, then at Clara, soaked and broken. Something in Marina hardened. "Yes, sir. Did you see what happened today?" Marina hesitated only a second. "Yes, Mr. Rafael. Dona Helena arrived right after your call. Dona Clara was in the nursery, arranging the new clothes. Dona Helena went upstairs, started shouting that she was spending too much money, that she was taking advantage of you, that the baby would be born defective because God punishes women who marry for money. Her voice faltered, tears spilling. She said the child would be stupid like its mother. That you would regret it when you saw the inferior blood in your son. The room went deathly still. Clara curled tighter around her belly, hands protective. Rafael repeated the words slowly, turning to face his mother. Inferior blood. You said my daughter has inferior blood. Helena tried to recover. Marina is exaggerating. I never said it exactly like that. No more lies. Rafael stepped closer, and for the first time in her life Helena retreated from her own son. You do not get to twist this into a misunderstanding. I heard it. Marina heard it. Clara lived it. He turned back to his wife. How many times, Clara? How many times has she come here when I was gone? Clara's tears fell harder. Every time you leave for work, she appears. Sometimes for minutes, sometimes for hours. Always with some new criticism, always reminding me I'm not good enough, that you'll leave me, that she'll make sure you do. Clara lifted her face, eyes raw with pain. She said when the baby is born, she'll prove I'm an incompetent mother. She'll convince you to take custody, that she can raise your child better than I ever could. That I'll end up alone, with nothing, because that's what I deserve for thinking I could belong in a family like yours. Marina covered her mouth, sobbing quietly. Rafael felt tears burn his own eyes for the first time in years. My God, he whispered. Clara, why didn't you tell me? Why did you carry this alone? Because she's your mother, Clara said simply. She raised you alone. You love her. I didn't want to be the reason you fought. I didn't want you to have to choose. Rafael turned to Helena, and the look on his face made her pale. I chose the day I asked Clara to marry me. I chose the day I learned I was going to be a father. And I choose now, forever. He closed the distance until he stood inches from his mother. You said my daughter has inferior blood. You called the woman I love incompetent. You spent 3 hours breaking the mother of my child while she was alone and vulnerable. You threw water on her. You left bruises on her wrists. Helena opened her mouth, but Rafael raised a hand. I loved you my whole life. I respected you. I obeyed you. But today, mother, you crossed a line that cannot be uncrossed. Rafael, you don't understand. You have 10 seconds to leave my house. His voice was ice. 10 seconds before I call the police and file a report for assault on a pregnant woman. You wouldn't do that to your own mother. I would do it for my wife. I would do it for my daughter. Because they are my family now. He paused, the next words costing him more than anything he had ever said. You are no longer welcome near them. The wall clock ticked. 1, 2, 3. Helena looked at Marina, who looked away. At Clara, who clutched herself tighter. At her son, who was suddenly a stranger wearing familiar eyes. You'll regret this, she said, voice trembling. When she leaves you, when she takes half of everything, when she proves I was right. Get out. The roar shook the chandeliers. Helena grabbed her purse with shaking hands and walked to the door, spine straight, clinging to dignity. At the threshold she turned one last time. She will never love you the way I do. Rafael looked at Clara, trembling on the sofa, at the bruises on her wrists, at the belly where his daughter grew. Thank God, he said quietly. Because your love hurts. The door closed behind Helena with a final click. Silence settled, heavy and thick. Marina hurried to the kitchen and returned with towels. I'll get dry clothes for Dona Clara, she said, voice still shaky but resolute. Thank you, Marina, Rafael replied. And thank you for telling the truth today. I know it wasn't easy. Someone had to, she answered, tears in her eyes. That girl has suffered too much in silence. When they were alone, Rafael knelt in front of Clara and took her hands carefully, mindful of the bruises. Forgive me, he whispered. Forgive me for not seeing, for not protecting you, for letting this happen. You didn't know, she said softly. I should have known. He pressed his forehead to her hands. I should have seen the signs. The way you went quiet after her visits. The way you cried in the shower. The way you were afraid to spend money even when I told you it was ours. Clara ran her fingers through his hair, the gesture tender despite everything. She's gone now, she murmured. Really gone. I promise, he said, lifting his face to meet her eyes. She doesn't come back. Not if you don't want her to. No one will hurt you again. Not my mother. Especially not my mother. For the first time that terrible afternoon, Clara let out a breath that was not pain. It was relief. But as Rafael helped her upstairs, he noticed the open suitcase on the bedroom floor, clothes neatly folded inside, her favorite shoes tucked beside it. His stomach dropped. "Clara," he whispered, voice cracking. "What are you doing?" She did not look at him, eyes fixed on the window where the afternoon sun painted the garden gold. "I'm leaving, Rafael." The words landed like a death sentence. He crossed the room in 2 strides and knelt again, taking her hands. "No. You are not going anywhere. This is your home. You are not leaving. I can't stay here anymore." Her voice was exhausted, older than her years. "I can't live in fear. Fear that she'll come back. Fear that you'll change your mind. Fear that when the baby is born, she'll make good on every threat." Rafael felt the world tilt. "She won't. I swear it. You swore before," Clara said, turning to him at last, eyes filled with a terror deeper than anger. "When she, accidentally, bumped me on the stairs and I almost fell. When she served food she knew I was allergic to and said she forgot. When she told your cousin in front of everyone that some people shouldn't have children. You always found a reason to believe it was nothing. Each memory was a knife." He remembered every incident, every excuse he had made because it was easier than facing the truth about his mother. "And today," Clara continued, hand on her belly where the baby kicked, she said something Marina didn't hear. She said she hopes our daughter looks just like me. So every time you look at her face, you'll see the mediocrity you chained yourself to. You'll regret it for the rest of your life." Rafael felt the last thread of hope for reconciliation with his mother snap. He pulled Clara into his arms, careful of the belly between them. She resisted for a heartbeat, then collapsed against him, sobbing in a way that broke him open. "Our daughter is not a mistake," he whispered fiercely. "She is the best thing that has ever happened to me. And every time I look at her, I will see you, your kindness, your strength, the way you love even when you're being torn apart. I will thank God every day for giving me both of you." Clara clung to him, tears soaking his shirt. "And if she tries to take her, if she calls the authorities, if she convinces people I'm unfit, then she will have to go through me first," he said, no hesitation. "I will hire the best lawyers. I will get restraining orders. I will do whatever it takes to keep you safe." He placed his hand on her belly, feeling another strong kick. "She's agreeing with me," he said, a small, sad smile touching his lips. Clara gave a watery laugh. "She always kicks harder when I'm scared. She feels everything." "Then let's make a promise to her," Rafael said. He knelt again, speaking directly to the baby. "Princess, your daddy swears you will grow up in a home full of love. Your mother will be treated like the queen she is. No one will ever tell you that you are a mistake. You will be loved, protected, cherished. And if your grandmother Helena ever wants to be part of your life, it will only be after she learns to respect your mother. Because in this family, Clara comes first. Always." When he looked up, Clara was crying again, but these were different tears. Not despair. Hope. "You really choose us," she whispered. "Even over your mother. Every single time," he said without pause. "Because you are my family now. You are my priority. You are my everything." Clara looked at the suitcase, then at the man she loved, then at the belly where their daughter moved. Slowly, she nodded. "I'll stay. But Rafael, if she comes back, I call the police. I'm not joking. She crossed every line today. Let her hate me," he said, kissing her forehead. "I would rather have her hate than lose you. I would rather never speak to her again than watch you pack that suitcase. I would rather anything than lose the real family I finally found." Outside, the sun dipped low, painting the sky in rose and gold. Inside, husband and wife sat on the floor of their bedroom, arms around each other, the baby kicking between them like a promise sealed in motion. The suitcase remained open on the floor, untouched. Because some battles are not won by running. They are won by standing together, refusing to break, and choosing love over everything else that came before. The next morning dawned gray and heavy, the kind of light that made everything feel heavier than it already was. Rafael had barely slept, his mind replaying the night before in endless loops. Clara's trembling body, the bruises blooming on her wrists like dark flowers, his mother's final venomous words echoing through the house even after the door had slammed shut. He lay beside Clara now, watching her chest rise and fall in shallow, uneasy breaths. Every time she stirred, her hand instinctively went to her belly, as if checking that their daughter was still safe inside her. By 7, the first message arrived. Rafael's phone buzzed on the nightstand, once, twice, then a relentless stream. He reached for it before Clara could wake fully, but she stirred anyway, eyes opening wide with instant fear. Is it her? He did not answer right away. The screen glowed with notifications, all from Helena, sent between 3 and 5 in the morning like poison dripped in the dark. The first one read, Rafael, you are making the biggest mistake of your life. That woman is manipulating you. Your father would be ashamed. When she leaves you, and she will, do not come crawling back. I warned you. The last one, timed at 5:14, hit like a punch. I spoke with Dr. Mauricio. He says contesting paternity is possible if there is reasonable suspicion. Just so you know I have options. Rafael's hand shook as he turned the phone toward Clara. She read the words and let out a sound that was not quite human, a low, wounded moan. She wants to say the baby isn't yours. That I betrayed you. She will not do anything, Rafael said, already dialing. Because I am ending this now. Ricardo Campos answered on the third ring, voice groggy but alert the moment he heard Rafael's tone. Rafael. It's barely dawn. What's wrong? Rafael laid it out in clipped sentences. The assault, the bruises, the 3 hours of torment, the threats, the messages. Ricardo listened without interruption, then said quietly, your mother. The same Helena I met at your wedding. The same. I need a restraining order. Today. And I need to document everything. Photos of the marks, witness statements, these texts. If she escalates, I want to be ready to press charges. There was a pause. I'll clear my morning. Come to the office. Bring Clara if she's up to it. This is serious. 40 minutes later they were in Ricardo's downtown office, a sleek space with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Clara sat on the leather couch, hands folded over her belly, still in yesterday's clothes because she had not wanted to take the time to change. The bruises on her wrists had darkened overnight, purple and angry. Ricardo took one look at them and his professional mask slipped into something closer to outrage. Start from the beginning, he said, recorder on the table. Everything. Clara spoke first, voice steady at first, then cracking as the memories poured out. The months of visits when Rafael was at work. The insults disguised as concern. The way Helena would arrive unannounced, rifle through drawers, comment on every purchase. The accidents, the bump on the stairs that nearly sent Clara tumbling, the dinner with hidden allergens, the casual remarks in front of relatives about how some women were not meant to be mothers. And yesterday, the water thrown, the wrists grabbed, the hours of screaming about inferior blood and unfit parenting. Marina arrived halfway through, called in as witness. She spoke with quiet dignity, confirming every detail, adding the one she had held back before. A month earlier, she had found Clara unconscious on the kitchen floor after Helena's shouting fit. Clara had hit her head on the table edge when she fainted. Helena had thrown water on her face to revive her, then warned Marina not to tell Rafael, saying it was normal pregnancy nerves and he would worry unnecessarily. Rafael felt the room tilt. You fainted. You hit your head. And you never told me. Clara's eyes filled. She said if I told you, she would convince you I was unstable. That I was inventing drama for attention. That she would have me committed. That pregnant women who have breakdowns lose custody automatically. Ricardo stopped writing. This is textbook coercive control. Gaslighting. Threatening institutionalization. We have enough for the temporary order. I'll file this afternoon. They left with instructions. Photographs of every mark, screenshots of messages, Marina's signed statement. But the fear did not leave Clara's eyes. On the drive home she whispered, she followed us to the clinic today. I felt it. She's watching. Rafael gripped the wheel tighter. She won't get near you again. But she did not need to be near to do damage. That afternoon the doorbell rang. Marina opened it and returned pale. It's the social worker. Says there's an anonymous report of possible risk to the pregnancy. Claims you're keeping Clara against her will. Rafael felt ice flood his veins. He let the woman in, a middle-aged professional named Denise with a clipboard and calm eyes. She asked to speak with Clara alone. Protocol, she said. Rafael waited outside the bedroom door, ear pressed to the wood, hearing fragments, Clara's trembling voice explaining the abuse, the threats, the fear that kept her inside. 15 minutes later Denise emerged, expression changed from neutral to quietly furious. "That young woman is terrified," she said. "If what she says is true, this is severe harassment. I'll close the report as unfounded, but I'll note everything she told me. You need to document the violations. And get her psychological support. She's on the edge." When Denise left, Clara emerged from the bedroom shaking. "She believed me. But it won't stop. Your mother will just make another report. Another lie. And next time they might take me away." Rafael pulled her close. "They won't. We're going to war now. Legal. Documented. Every threat, every lie, every violation." But the war was already escalating. That evening, as Clara tried to rest, the phone rang. Aunt Sonia's name flashed on the screen. Rafael answered warily. "Rafael, I need to warn you. Helena is organizing a family lunch this Sunday. She's telling everyone you'll be there, that everything is resolved, that Clara overreacted and is ready to apologize publicly." Rafael's jaw clenched. "I'm not going anywhere near her. I know. But if you don't show, she'll say Clara is isolating you. Controlling you. Emotional abuse. She's building the narrative. You have to come. Alone. Tell the truth in front of everyone. Don't let her control the story." Clara, listening from the bed, spoke softly. "Go. If you don't, she wins again. I'll be fine with Marina. And I'll call my mother, ask her to come stay. I need someone on my side too." Rafael hated the idea, but he saw the logic. Sunday morning he drove to Aunt Sonia's house alone, stomach knotted. 10 family members waited in the dining room, cousins, an uncle, friends who had known Helena for decades. Helena sat at the head of the table like a queen, smiling victoriously when he entered. "Rafael, where's Clara? We were expecting both of you. Clara is at home. Where she's safe from you." The smile faltered. Whispers rippled. Rafael raised his voice so everyone could hear. "I came today so you all know the truth. My mother assaulted my pregnant wife. Threw water on her. Bruised her wrists. Spent months terrorizing her when I wasn't home. Threatened to take our baby, to prove Clara unfit, to contest paternity. Made false reports to social services. Stalked us to the doctor. This isn't a misunderstanding. This is abuse." Silence fell like a stone. Helena stood, face ashen. "He's being manipulated. Clara put these ideas in his head." "I have proof," Rafael said calmly. "Medical reports, photos, witness statements, messages, everything documented." One cousin shifted uncomfortably. Another looked away. Aunt Sonia spoke first. "Helena, is this true?" Helena's voice cracked. "I was protecting my son." Rafael turned to leave. "Anyone who chooses her side chooses not to be part of my daughter's life." 3 people followed him. Out. Aunt Sonia and 2 cousins. Inside, Helena sat down hard, realizing for the first time she might have lost everything. Back home, Rafael found Clara waiting, eyes searching his face. "How did it go?" "Some believed me. Some didn't. But the truth is out." Clara nodded, then winced. "The contractions, they're starting again. Stronger." Rafael helped her to the couch, heart pounding. The hospital bag was already packed. As he called draw, "Beatrice," Clara gripped his hand. "Promise me, whatever happens, protect her." "I promise," he said, voice fierce. "No matter what." The rain began to fall outside, steady and cold, as they prepared to face whatever came next. The threats had not stopped. The war had not ended. But Rafael knew one thing clearly now: he would burn the world down before he let anyone hurt his family again. The hospital room smelled of antiseptic and faint lavender from the diffuser the nurses kept running to calm anxious mothers. Clara lay propped up in the adjustable bed, monitors beeping in steady rhythm around her, wires trailing from the wide band strapped across her belly. 5 days had passed since admission, and for the first time her blood pressure numbers were trending down instead of spiking dangerously. Rafael had not left her side once. He slept in the recliner that barely reclined, ate cold hospital meals without complaint, showered in the tiny attached bathroom, and held her hand through every nightmare that woke her gasping in the night. Clara, still startled at shadows, still reached instinctively for her belly when she heard footsteps in the hall, still whispered sometimes, "She's coming back, isn't she?" Rafael would stroke her hair and promise again that no, Helena could not get past security, could not breach the restraining order, could not touch them anymore. But the fear lingered like smoke after a fire. That evening, as the sky outside the window turned the bruised purple of dusk, a nurse poked her head in with a gentle smile. "You have a visitor at the desk. Your Aunt Sonia. She says she brought something for the baby." Rafael glanced at Clara. She nodded slowly, the ghost of a smile touching her lips. "Let her up. Aunt Sonia is welcome." Sonia arrived carrying a large paper bag that rustled with tissue paper. She looked older than Rafael remembered, lines deeper around her eyes, but her hug was warm and fierce when she reached the bed. She kissed Clara's forehead first. "Look at you, still glowing even in this place. How's our little fighter doing?" "Better," Clara said softly. "The numbers are stable. Doctor says if it holds, we might avoid an induction. Normal delivery could still happen. Thank God." Sonia set the bag on the side table and pulled out a tiny pink stuffed bear, a bouquet of fresh roses, and a small envelope. "The bear is for her crib. The flowers are for you, Clara, because you deserve beauty right now. And this." She handed the envelope to Rafael. "Your mother asked me to bring it. She knows you won't answer her calls. She begged me to make sure you read it." Rafael's fingers tightened on the paper. He looked at Clara. She gave a small nod. "Read it. We should know what she's saying." He opened the envelope carefully and unfolded the single sheet. Helena's handwriting was neat as always, but the ink wavered in places, as if her hand had trembled. Rafael cleared his throat and read aloud, voice low and steady. "Rafael and Clara, I know I have no right to expect you to read these words, let alone believe them. Everything I have done has proven me unworthy of your trust. I spent days, weeks, alone in that big empty house, truly alone for the first time since your father died, and the silence forced me to look at the monster I had become. I was so terrified of losing you, my only child, that I tried to control everything. I tried to control Clara. I tried to control the future. In doing so, I destroyed the very thing I claimed to protect, our family. I have formally withdrawn every false report I made. I posted a message in the family group chat admitting I lied, that I exaggerated, that the accusations against Clara were baseless and cruel. I have begun therapy twice a week with a psychologist who specializes in grief and toxic attachment. I lost your father decades ago, and I never truly grieved. I poured all that pain and fear into you, Rafael, until it turned into something ugly. I see that now. Clara, there are no words sufficient for what I did to you. I treated a woman of extraordinary grace and strength as if she were a threat to be eliminated. You brought light into my son's life when I could not. You are giving him a daughter. You are the best thing that ever happened to him, and I was too blind and bitter to see it. I do not ask for forgiveness today. I ask only that you know I am trying, really trying, to become someone who might one day deserve even a small place on the edges of your world. For my granddaughter, I have included a small album of photographs of Rafael as a baby and boy. They are yours to keep or discard. One day, if her parents allow it, I would like her to know where half of her story comes from. Until then, I will love her from a distance, quietly, without expectation. With the deepest regret and hope for change. Helena. The room fell silent except for the soft beeping of the monitors. Clara stared at the ceiling, tears slipping down her temples into her hair. Rafael folded the letter and placed it back in the envelope. She's trying, he said quietly. Whether it's real or desperation, she's trying. Sonia sat on the edge of the chair. I saw her yesterday. She's lost weight. Her hair is going gray at the roots, she hasn't bothered to color it. She cried the whole time we talked. I don't know if it's permanent change, Rafael, but it's different. She's not the same woman who stormed out of your house. Clara spoke first, voice small. Different doesn't mean safe. Different doesn't mean we trust her tomorrow. I know, Rafael said. He took Clara's hand. We keep the boundaries. No visits. No calls unless we initiate. Therapy records, proof of consistency, months, maybe years, before we even consider anything. Our priority is you and the baby. Always. Sonia nodded. That's wise. And fair. They sat quietly for a while, the weight of the letter settling between them like a fragile truce. Then Clara winced, hand pressing low on her belly. That was stronger, she breathed. Not Braxton Hicks. Real. Rafael hit the call button. The nurse arrived, then the doctor. Draw. Beatrice examined her quickly, face serious but calm. Contractions are regular now. 4 minutes apart. The baby's head is low. We're going to move you to delivery. It's time. Rafael's heart slammed against his ribs. She's early. A week early. Is she? She's 38 weeks plus, Beatrice said firmly. Lungs are mature. Heart rate strong. Size good. Stress pushed her, but she's ready. You did everything right keeping her here. The next hours blurred into a storm of pain and encouragement. Clara gripped Rafael's hand until her knuckles whitened, breathing through contractions that came faster and harder. He wiped her forehead with cool cloths, whispered over and over, "You're the strongest person I know. Our daughter is almost here. Just a little more." Nurses bustled, monitors tracked every beat, every push. Clara cried out during the hardest ones. I can't do this." "You can," Rafael said, voice breaking. "You carried her through hell. You carried us both. You can. Bring her into the world." At 3:42 in the morning, with rain tapping against the window like quiet applause, a new cry filled the room, high, fierce, alive. Beatrice lifted the tiny body, still slick and red, and placed her on Clara's chest. "It's a girl," Beatrice announced, smiling wide. "Healthy. Strong. Perfect." Clara looked down at the wrinkled face, the dark tuft of hair, the tiny fists waving. "Hi, my love," she whispered, tears streaming. "Hi, my princess. Mommy waited so long for you." Rafael leaned over them both, tears falling freely now. He touched one perfect cheek with a trembling finger. "She's perfect. Just like her mother. What will we call her?" Clara asked, eyes never leaving the baby's face. Rafael had known for weeks. "Marina. After the woman who stood up when it mattered most. After the woman who helped us survive." Clara smiled through her tears. "Marina Mendez. I love it." The baby, Marina, latched on almost immediately, small mouth working with surprising determination. Rafael watched them, chest so full it hurt. This was victory. Not revenge in the cruel sense, but the quiet triumph of love refusing to be broken. 3 days later Clara received discharge papers. They walked out of the hospital with Marina in her car seat, bundled in the soft pink blanket they had bought months ago. A small crowd waited in the parking lot. Aunt Sonia with balloons, 2 cousins who had chosen their side, Ricardo the lawyer who had become a friend, Marina the maid holding a bouquet and crying openly. And, to Clara's shock, her own mother. "Mom." Clara stopped, voice cracking. The older woman approached slowly, eyes red. "I was wrong. I listened to that woman instead of my own daughter. I believed the poison she spread. I am so sorry, Clara. Please, let me meet my granddaughter." Clara looked at Rafael. He nodded gently. Clara lifted Marina from the car seat and placed her in her mother's arms. "Her name is Marina, and you can visit whenever you want. But understand this, Rafael and I are a team. What happened made us unbreakable. No one will ever come between us again." Her mother nodded, tears falling on the baby's blanket. "I understand. Thank you for giving me another chance." They drove home slowly, Rafael checking the rearview mirror every few seconds. When they pulled into the driveway, the front yard was transformed. Marina the maid had strung pink streamers across the porch, hung a banner that read, "Welcome home, Princess Marina," and set up a small table with cake and balloons. Neighbors had added gifts on the steps. Clara laughed, the sound light and surprised. "You didn't have to do all this. Every princess deserves a proper welcome," Marina said, wiping her eyes. "Especially one named after me." That night, after the visitors left and the house grew quiet, Rafael and Clara sat in the nursery. Marina slept in her crib, tiny chest rising and falling under the soft glow of the nightlight. Clara leaned against Rafael, head on his shoulder. "We made it," she whispered. "Despite everything, we made it." "You made it," he corrected gently. "You endured things no one should. You chose love over bitterness. You gave us this. We chose together," she said. "And we'll keep choosing. Every day." Rafael kissed the top of her head. "I learned what family really means from you. Not blood, not obligation, choice. Waking up and choosing to protect, to love, to fight. I'll keep choosing you. Both of you. Forever." Outside, rain began to fall, soft and steady. Inside, the nursery was warm, filled with the quiet sounds of a sleeping baby and two parents who had walked through fire and come out stronger. Marina stirred, let out a small sigh, and smiled in her sleep. The war was over. Not because the enemy had vanished completely. Helena's letter still sat in a drawer, a question mark for some distant future, but because love had built walls no cruelty could breach. They had chosen each other, chosen their daughter, chosen peace. And in that quiet room, with rain singing against the windows, the future felt possible again. Imperfect, cautious, beautiful. Exactly as it should be.